The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us here on another episode of Buckle Bomb Entertainment. With us today, we have from the Kill City Cup movie, Queen Gia, and Seven is also with me today. Queen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing great. Seven, how are you?
You know, I'm doing quite well. I have this weekend off, so I'm pretty happy with that.
So for those of you who remember, a few weeks ago, we had Luke, Robert, and Paul on the show. We talked about Kill City Cup. Fantastic movie. Throw the graphic up here. It's on YouTube at Kill City Cup. Free movie. It's fantastic. Gaining some traction. We can tell you it's up for a couple film festivals. It's going to be in the Sci-Fi Horror and Action Film Festival. Megaflix Film Awards, and just announced yesterday, I believe, the 14 Film Festival. Gia, how does that make you feel knowing you're a big part of the movie?
It's a lot. I barely consider myself an actress. I do consider myself a performer, and just, what was an idea that my buddy and I would talk about just hanging out, turning into this big thing and possibly doing a premiere out in England. It's just, wow, so cool. I love this. I want to keep doing more of it. Let's keep this going.
Now, how were you first approached about it? And, what was your initial thoughts on Kill City Cup?
It was mostly presented to me just in moments hanging out with Luke Robert. He would share ideas for a show that he's been, noodling or tossing around ideas in his head for 10 years before he actually got it out. But he would discuss it with friends, he'd discuss it with large groups of people, just anyone that's willing to listen, like, well, this is what I would like to see, this is what I think would look really, really cool. And, thinking like, wow, that does sound really awesome. It sounds like pro wrestling, but it also sounds like fighting games. It sounds like Mortal Kombat. It sounds like horror, or all of it in one. And it's not something that's being made now. So yeah, do it. I'm on board at whatever capacity he wanted or needed me for. And he dug the outfit. It was in a collaboration with Starly Sinful. And we came up with the concept. I told her I wanted Dragon Ball Z shoulder pads. So she incorporated that into the outfit. And this is what came of it. And Luke loved it. He said, that looks like a character that I would love to have in Kill City, like this evil kind of queen character that, just up to no good.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen it yet, here's a screenshot from the movie. You can just get the full effect of Queen Gia here. Definitely post-apocalyptic.
Lots of evil. Fun lighting, fog, there's magic, there's fire, there's all kinds of craziness. It's got things that you wouldn't think you would see in a pro wrestling match. So it's kind of set up tournament style.
I'm also a huge gearhead. Like, I absolutely love gear. I think I follow probably more costume and gear makers than I do anybody else. And I can say that costume, it's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you so much. That's my main draw. I like an opportunity to dress up, and Kill City Cup does that. So does performing gives you the opportunity. So in this, performing lets you dress up, but not always as colorful as I like to be. So when I end up dressing up most of the time, it's like cosplay because I like doing something that's over the top or different or clearly not everyday wear. So being able to do this and put it out there was just fantastic.
Now, when listening to Luke over 10 years talk about all his ideas, or just people in general bringing up ideas, what was the most zaniest, craziest idea that you heard brought up that you thought, no way this could happen?
It hasn't happened yet, but he's wanted to have a scene where a baby gets ate. And we were trying to make it work for the first filming of Kill City Cup, but it was more complicated than we anticipated because it's gonna have to be edible because it's gonna have to look like something like a baby's getting ate. So maybe cake, we're not entirely sure, but it becomes more complicated. And then also some people are not really down for making a cake that looks like a baby and then it like bleeds when you tear it open. So we're still talking about doing that, and we're hoping to bring that to the next rendition of Kill City Cup. But that was probably one of the wackiest ideas that was presented to me where I'm like, wow, yes, let's do that.
I remember him talking about that, and it almost happened, but he said the cake mold they ordered was just too small. And it was just too late at that point.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to film from start to end?
We filmed in a span of like 2 days. Oh. So there was like one day where we were filming for 14 hours, and then another day where we were filming for probably like 8 more hours. So I would say like 2 full filming days at least. Just getting most of the matches were done in one day, and then another day getting a lot of the B-rolls type stuff.
Sorry, Sarah, this may actually be part of your question, so stop me if it is. What was your favorite part of filming?
I like the collaborative effort of it. It wasn't, very strict. It was loose. There wasn't a script. It was like, these are cool characters. I like the makeup. You're this, you're that. Go out there, do this. It was all like, it came together and it was awesome. Like just the collaborative and creative process of it was the most fun for me. And being able to play an evil character high up on the throne, judging people as they fight for, an opportunity to get a wish or get something granted.
What was it like, to have people from both worlds kind of, you have Brian Edward Cars, who's more in the acting world, and then you've got wrestlers like Brian Cage, Matt Sydal, and Natalia Markova. They're there. What was it like having, I guess, both the best worlds there?
It was wild. I spent a lot of my time up on that second floor, so I wasn't intermingling too much with the wrestlers. Having Brian Cage there was unreal to me because I've seen him in all of Lucha Underground, and him being there in front of me, I'm like, whoa, trying not to lose my mind. And then seeing the talent in the ring, and it was amazing. You think, little low budget production, but then you put all these big name wrestlers, like people that are really good at what they do, and they really, really delivered on that. Brian was amazing. I had never heard of Natalia until Kill City. Holy crap. Like, wow. She took some moves. I was like, how are you still moving? And then delivered some moves. And I'm like, how do you move like that? I was engaged in the wrestling, which is not something that usually happens when I'm watching WWE or any of the other wrestlings. For the most part, it feels like a lot of the same stuff. So watching this and with Brian's over the top acting, it's different and it's fun and it leans into the cheese and the camp and it's got a nostalgic feel to it. And Brian really delivers on that. This evil guy that just thrives on mischief and like the self-aware zaniness of it too. It's just really fun.
Also, Brian is huge. Like, you see him on TV and he looks huge, but that really doesn't do him justice when you're like standing near him of how big he actually is.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't think it, and then you're next to him, you're like, oh my god, he's massive.
Absolutely.
Now, when we do get the sequel, do we see Queen Gia get physical at all in the next one? Like, is there a desire for you to get into the action?
We're talking about Queen Gia taking over or hijacking the tournament or something along that line. We're not gonna really see Gia do her own match. She doesn't really like to get her hands dirty. She's more of like mastermind, kind of like the one that's moving the pieces and the pawns around. But when she feels like making an example, she'll go in and she'll get her licks in, but she's not doing like a whole match. Like maybe she'll send someone in to do her dirty work and then she'll go in and let them know, like, this is courtesy of the queen.
The final blow kind of thing.
Exactly. Finishing moves.
You got to show him who the queen is.
Now, what ideas have you seen thrown around for Kill City Cup 2? Anything that you can let us in on?
Well, we're talking about possibly some kind of team up between Queen Gia and Hecate's Hangman. We're talking more involvement from Mojo McQueen. I think that's where we've gotten so far. Nothing else has really been confirmed other than like we want to lean more into like what Queen Gia's character is and what she's up to and her role in all this. Like what's her investment or interest in Kill City Cup, or what is Kill City Cup and is it part of something bigger? We haven't gotten it all hammered out, but we know we want to do more with the Queen Gia character.
Great. Seven, what do you got?
So a little bit earlier, we talked about anime. So I personally am just starting to get into anime. Are you a fan of anime by chance?
Yes, I think I first started getting into it with when they put Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon on Toonami on Cartoon Network. So I think that was like kind of my first exposure to it, or like Pokemon kind of anime. So I was watching Pokemon, I was watching Inuyasha, Dragon Ball Z. I didn't like Sailor Moon too much, but it was on. I just watched the live action adaptation of One Piece because it's about the only way I could possibly consume that anime.
So for somebody who's just getting into it, I've kind of poked around a little bit on what to watch. What would you recommend for somebody kind of more or less brand new to watch?
I guess it depends on what you're looking to watch. I have my personal favorites, but maybe they might not hit for you because the theme isn't exactly what you like. I like the Dragon Ball series, hands down, is probably my favorite series. And then one that I like to recommend to people is Berserk. That one's like shorter. So I like recommending like shorter animes to people. That one's more serious, more horror, more guts and gore, blood. For something more upbeat and fun, there's Fooly Cooly. That one's like 13 episodes or so. So it's like easy digestible.
Okay.
So I like recommending animes that aren't like too long. So Dragon Ball is a commitment because then there's the Dragon Ball series, and then there's Dragon Ball Z, then there's Dragon Ball Super, and then there's Dragon Ball GT if you want to get into that, but they considered it non-canon, so it's like you don't gotta. So it depends on what kind of flavor you're going for. And then there's magic, there's robots, there's zombies. So if basically whatever you like, and then in anime.
Gotcha. One of the ones that I have recently watched and kind of kept into, I did watch Naruto for like 4 seasons, and then it was just so long, and then there's so many other episodes like you were talking about, and I was like, I am already lost in kind of the shuffle. So then I went to, I think it's Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop's a good one. It's a longer one, but it's nowhere near as overwhelming as Naruto.
Yeah. So I'm like in 14 episodes of that one, and I've really enjoyed that. Do you also like the comic book genre at all?
Yeah, I haven't personally read a comic book in a while, but as far as superheroes goes, I am really into it. I was reading comic books, mostly like the graphic novels. I read the Infinity Gauntlet. I read some of the Captain America graphic novels. Like I'm really into Captain America. I like the villains of the DC universe. I think those are good. I watched some of the comic book movies. I've been enjoying. I really liked Peacemaker. That was probably one of the last TV shows that came out that I really enjoyed. Or I try to stay up with it, but it seems that everything that's coming out is superheroes.
Yeah, I definitely think like the Arrowverse back in like maybe 2000.
I was watching that and I fell off of that, the Arrowverse and the Flashverse.
Yeah.
And I was enjoying it. It was good. And then it got to be too much. And then it was also what the Justice Dawn of Justice, the other show that sped off of the other show, and it was a lot.
Yeah, there's so many spin-offs. I think after Arrow ended, I just kind of like washed my hands of it because I didn't know where to watch. And some episodes you had to watch like 5 different shows just to watch one story. And I was like, ooh, this is
Yeah, and the same thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and
Mhm.
Agent Carter, and there's a bunch of other side shows. And I just want more Daredevil and Punisher.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
By chance, did you ever read Saga by Image?
What was that?
Have you ever read Saga by Image?
No.
I highly recommend that. It involves space, kind of a war, afterlife, superhero. Like I would strongly, strongly recommend it. It's only 11 graphic novels altogether, but it's not overwhelming. It's very, very
Saga by Image.
yes. I'm not like when I read them, I don't necessarily get so emotionally attached, but there are several times in that series I actually was emotional because of the storyline, and that's so unique. So I always recommend Saga to anybody.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. I like it. It's got interesting designs.
Yeah.
I like it when they lean into like the more fantastical.
Mhm.
And then if you do read it, you're gonna have to let me know what your thoughts are because that is my all-time favorite like book ever. I recommend it to everybody. You too, Sarah. I know you haven't read it yet, but I'm just trying to get her to read it.
Now you mentioned cosplays a little bit. Yeah, I know. I follow your page and I see you're just at Dragon Con. What's been your favorite cosplay that you've done over the years?
Since I've gotten Queen Gia, I've been taking her to the conventions, and people love her, but they don't know who she is. So it gives me an opportunity to share Kill City Cup with people. But also, I get the feedback that regardless of who they think she is, like she's always perceived as evil. So I've been told like Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers or Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon. They're like close, but it's neither of them. This is an original character. So she's been fun to take to the conventions. I I did Wario for the first time at Dragon Con this year, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm definitely going to be doing Wario again as soon as possible. I lost my voice doing that costume. Everyone was going wah at me at the convention, so I had to yell back.
Of
So
course.
it was a lot of Wario yelling back and forth. It was a great time.
All right. Seven, you got anything else?
Where can we find you? Where are your socials at?
You can find me on gialove.com. It's got all my socials on there. And killcitycup.com has all of Kill City's socials. We're on Twitter at Kill City Cup as well as on Instagram. And then you can watch the movie for free. YouTube.com/@KillCityCup. Real easy. If that's too much to remember, just head on over to killcitycup.com and it'll be right there on the front page. You just scroll down a little bit and you can watch it right there, or you can head on over to YouTube. We prefer for you to head on over to YouTube because then you can like it and subscribe.
Only takes about an hour out of your life, and it's worth it.
That's
Great
it.
movie.
I mean, that's the average episode we're watching now on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Queen Gia, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Pleasure talking to you, Sven.
Bye. Have a good one.